No, I actually like Caitlyn, and I'm just being real and truthful. She has brought millions. I wouldn't be surprised if it's billions of eyes onto the W and onto women's sport.
Sophie Cunningham has never been the type to bite her tongue, but her latest revelation about Caitlin Clark is sending shockwaves through the WNBA. You also have to remember, she could be playing if it wasn't in the WNBA by now. Forget the rumors of quitting or running overseas. Sophie just gave an unfiltered explanation that cuts deeper than any injury report. What she exposed points to the relentless pressure, impossible expectations, and brutal reality facing the league's brightest star. This isn't about hype, it's about survival. Grab a seat as we uncover Sophie's shocking announcement and what it really means. The voice that refuses silence in a league where silence is often rewarded and honesty comes with a price tag. Sophie Cunningham has chosen the harder path. While most players stick to scripted answers and careful public relations spin, Sophie has carved out a reputation as the WNBA's most unfiltered truth-teller. And she's paying for it, literally. In 2024 alone, the league has fined her thousands of dollars for saying out loud what many players only whisper behind closed doors. It started with a TikTok post calling out questionable officiating, a single comment that drained $500 from her paycheck. Or is it slow? Maybe it's useless. Then came a podcast segment exposing inconsistent calls, costing her another $1,500. Will the WNBA fine me for no? You got fined for episode 1? They fined me $1,500. I'm like, what? I'm like, this is just the beginning. You're kidding. And when she went a step further, daring to accuse the league of outright favoritism, the penalty amount wasn't even disclosed. They just slapped her with another fine and moved on, hoping the message was clear, shut up and play. But Sophie refuses to play that game. She keeps talking, and that's what makes her so dangerous to the status quo. Think about it. WNBA salaries range from around $64,000 to $242,000 a year. For many players, a $1,500 fine is the equivalent of losing 2 weeks' rent or part of their off-season paycheck. That kind of financial punishment would silence almost anyone. Yet, Sophie keeps pushing forward, taking the hits, and telling fans what's really happening inside the league. This makes her more than just another athlete voicing frustration after a tough game. She's become the league's unofficial whistleblower, the player willing to absorb fines, criticism, and potential career risks just to bring the truth into the open. And it's that reputation that makes her voice so important. Because when Sophie talks, fans know it's not empty speculation or a desperate grab for attention. It's first-hand testimony from someone living inside the grind. Her decision to keep speaking out, even when it costs her, sets the stage for everything that follows. It's why her words about Caitlin Clark carry so much weight. Sophie isn't spinning a headline. She's exposing uncomfortable realities that the league would rather keep buried. And that's what makes her voice impossible to ignore. So, was Sophie hinting at hidden pressure or accusing the league of holding Clark back? Don't blink. The answer changes everything. The bombshell about Caitlin Clark. For weeks, the biggest question swirling around the WNBA has been the same. When is Caitlin Clark coming back? Reporters have asked coaches, teammates, and league officials, all hoping for a concrete timeline. Fans scroll through updates daily, desperate for clarity. But instead of clear answers, they've been fed vague statements. Day by day, we'll see next week. No update at this time. The silence has only fueled speculation. And then Sophie Cunningham shattered it on her podcast. Without drama or build-up, she dropped a single line that changed the conversation overnight. She could be playing if it wasn't in the WNBA. You also have to remember, she could be playing if it wasn't in the WNBA by now. Those words hit like a thunderclap. They weren't coming from a fan on social media or an outsider speculating from the sidelines. They came from someone inside the league, someone who knows firsthand the brutal reality of what it takes to compete at this level. For Caitlin Clark's millions of supporters, Sophie's statement was more than surprising. It was alarming. Think about what Sophie was saying. This isn't just about Caitlin needing more time to recover from an injury. It's about the environment she's trying to return to. Sophie made it clear. Caitlyn's absence isn't about weakness or lack of toughness. It's about the unforgiving standards of the WNBA itself. At Iowa, Caitlyn dominated. She was the face of college basketball, drawing record crowds, selling out arenas, and lifting TV ratings to historic heights. Her range, her vision, her ability to single-handedly change games made her a generational talent. But in the WNBA, Sophie revealed that those accomplishments don't automatically translate. Here, you can't just be good. You have to be flawless. And if you're not ready physically, mentally, competitively, the league will chew you up. That was the bombshell. Sophie wasn't insulting Caitlyn's skill. She was exposing a truth most people didn't want to hear. The WNBA has reached a level of intensity where even a superstar like Caitlin Clark needs more time to adapt. It's not a question of heart, it's a question of survival. By saying Caitlyn could already be playing anywhere else, Sophie highlighted just how punishing this league has become. Overseas, or even back in college, Caitlyn might already be on the court, dazzling fans. But here, the demands are so extreme that rushing back could jeopardize not just her season but her entire career. And that's why Sophie's words landed with such force. She wasn't just updating fans. She was sounding an alarm, pulling back the curtain on a league that might be too brutal even for its brightest star. But if the WNBA is this unforgiving for a generational star like Caitlyn, what chance does anyone else have? Keep watching to find out. The brutal standard of the WNBA. When Sophie Cunningham said Caitlyn Clark could be playing if it wasn't in the WNBA, she wasn't exaggerating. She was pointing to a reality that most fans only glimpse on the surface, but players feel in their bones every single night. The WNBA is not just another level up from college ball, it's an entirely different universe. And in this universe, good isn't good enough. At Iowa, Caitlyn Clark was untouchable. Her skill, her range, her vision made her unstoppable against college defenses. But in the WNBA, the defenders are faster, stronger, and relentlessly physical. Every player on the court was once the best in her program. Every roster spot belongs to someone who clawed their way through years of elite competition just to survive. And Sophie laid it out bluntly. At this level, you can't just be talented. You have to be flawless. She described the league in terms that made fans pause. To Sophie, WNBA games often feel less like basketball and more like rugby. The contact is constant. The hits are harder. Players talk openly about needing armor just to get through a season. And referees, they let far more contact go than fans realize, creating an environment where toughness isn't optional. It's mandatory. Now imagine stepping back onto that kind of stage after an injury. In most leagues, stars are carefully eased back in with minutes restrictions and added protection from referees. But in the WNBA, the margin for error is razor thin. One misstep, one hesitation, and the league's physicality can end a comeback before it even begins. That's the brutal standard Sophie was exposing. Overseas, Caitlyn might already be back on the floor. In college, she would almost certainly be playing by now. But in the WNBA, rushing back means risking far more than a few shaky performances. It could mean re-injury, loss of confidence, or even careering setbacks. And here's the key detail. Sophie wasn't calling Caitlyn soft. Quite the opposite. She made it clear that Caitlyn's work ethic and toughness aren't in question. What she was highlighting is how extreme the WNBA has become. The league is the deepest it has ever been. From the starting five down to the last bench spot, the competition is fierce. There's no weak link, no easy matchup. Every possession is a battle, and every player has the power to expose even the smallest weakness. So when Sophie said Caitlyn's absence isn't just about healing, she was pointing to this exact reality. Caitlyn isn't sitting out because she lacks heart. She's sitting out because, in today's WNBA, anything less than 100% readiness is a recipe for disaster. The league doesn't give players time to find their rhythm. It demands that they arrive fully prepared or risk being swallowed whole. And that's the heart of Sophie's bombshell. Caitlyn's situation isn't just a personal struggle, it's a reflection of the league's evolution. The WNBA has become so competitive, so physical, and so unforgiving that even generational stars need more time just to survive. It's a brutal standard, and as Sophie hinted, it might not even be sustainable. Favoritism and the two-tier system. Sophie Cunningham has never been the type to bite her tongue. And when she turned her criticism toward the WNBA, it wasn't out of bitterness, but out of frustration with what she saw as a dangerous pattern. To her, the issue wasn't just the grueling demands of the league, it was that those demands weren't applied equally. Some players, she argued, were given cushion and protection, while others were left to endure relentless physicality without help from officials. It was, in her words, a two-tier system. The most glaring example came during a heated matchup when JCS Sheldon drove into Caitlin Clark and delivered a shot straight to her face. It wasn't subtle, it was reckless, obvious, and could have easily sidelined Clark again. Yet, after review, the officials downgraded it Tanantidu. A flagrant one, the kind of